Good morning. It is Monday. It is May, and the weather is meh. So it's all about M's today. It's the 16th of May, 2022. My name is Sean Shapiro, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop. It's that thing we do Monday to Friday where we answer your traffic and police questions for a whole hour. So hopefully you're here, for however long it takes you to get the answers to the questions you have. We've got a couple of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about some things later, some things now. We're going to start off with how to ask us questions, because that is important stuff. If you are watching on TikTok, use the Q&A function. That's that question mark with the bubble. It'll help me see your question. Why? Because if you ask it in the chat, I'm not going to answer. I don't look at the chat. We do have moderators in the chat. They are a magical band of moderators who are volunteers, not paid members, not police officers. They are people from the community, just like you, who want to help make this a safe place. And I say safe place, I mean a place without trolls and harassers and spam. So please don't spam, please don't troll, please don't harass, because we will block you, and no one wants to do that. No one wants to get kicked out. We want to have everybody as part of this party. We're also on Instagram, where you can use the Q&A function, just like TikTok. Something you can do while I'm explaining to everybody on the other platforms what to do. Can you guys tap that screen, until your fingers go numb? It helps the algorithm know what's going on, brings more people to the party. It doesn't cost you a penny. Just tap that screen and share it with anyone you like. Use your socials. I can't say anything today. Okay. If you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, please use the Q&A of the chat. Just ask the questions in chat. I'll see it. I see all of them in one place, so that's easy peasy. If you're watching on Twitter, we love you, but we can't actually hear you, or we can't read you, because for some reason the API is not working since we got rid of Periscope. It wasn't me, it was them. Anyway, it's not working, so you can't ask questions on chat or on Twitter, but you can come over to our YouTube channel, which is Traffic Services Toronto Police, where we have like 1,036 followers. I should say subscribers. There's a subscriber. Got to use the right verbiage for the right platform. In any case, wherever you're watching us, we're glad you're with us. Hope you had a great weekend, and let's get into stuff and things. Vision Zero. If you have never seen us before, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. It's the concept that we want to reduce serious injury and death on our roads to zero, because while we accept that minor collisions happen, and they're pretty much unavoidable, minor ones, but the ones that lead to serious injury and death on our roads are both preventable and totally unacceptable. So how do we do that? Well, we do it by focusing on the big four. Big four are speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. And it's those behaviors that are linked to serious injury and death on our roads, so those are the ones that we go with our Vision Zero enforcement team, a group of dedicated officers who focus on those particular behaviors, issuing tickets, not hugs. Why? Because they want you to change your behavior. They want you to make better choices. Where are they today? They're going to be in 32 Division and 51 Division. For those who don't know what neighborhoods are, falling within those, it's neighborhoods like Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, St. Jamestown, Cabbagetown, Riverdale, Church and Yonge. Now, there are, of course, many, many more neighborhoods than that, but those are some of them that are notable. If you think your neighborhood should be mentioned instead of those because you think they are less good than yours, let me know. Send me a DM. Tell me all about it. Okay. Oh, where can we start? Josh Nelson wants to know, what is the punishment for driving alone with a G1 class license? Fantastic question. One of my favorite questions, mostly because the answer is my favorite answer. Okay, so let's get into it. The consequence of driving unaccompanied, because you have to be supervised by a G-class driver sitting in the front seat who has more than 4 years experience. Now, that experience starts when they get their G2. So if they're a G2 for 2 years and 2 years as a G, they are qualified to supervise you, assuming they had no suspensions during that time, because then, while they're suspended, they're not driving. That means they don't have experience while they're suspended, because they're driving a couch watching TV. In any case, you get caught without that supervisor or someone who's not qualified, and you're going to get a ticket for $110 for drive unaccompanied, plus a 30-day suspension on conviction. Whether you pay it or you get found guilty in court, it's a 30-day suspension for your first conviction. On your second conviction, 90-day suspension. On your third conviction, it is an automatic get out of our program. You're no longer in the graduated licensing program. You lose all money and time that you've invested into the program. You start again, fresh, zero, zilch experience will be afforded to you. So that means that if you were, 7.5 months towards getting your license for a G2, you're now back at zero. So Don't drive unaccompanied. Oh, and a little other thing that's kind of important. If you get into a collision, you're not insured. Yeah, because you're not licensed. And, oh yeah, there's that other thing. The licensed person, the person who gave you their car knowing that you didn't have a license capable of driving alone, they get charged under the Highway Traffic Act too. And if they say, you know what, I want to save my own butt, I'm going to say they took it without consent, well, that means that you stole it or took it without permission, which means you've now ventured into criminal activity because there would be charges for that. In any case, this all started with a question of what happens if you drive unaccompanied with a G1. It's a long laundry list of things, and it's one of the reasons I like it so much. In any case, let's move on to what is the speed limit for e-bike or scooters or can you ticket them? So it's an interesting question. The speed limit is only enforceable on the highway for motor vehicles. Neither of those are considered motor vehicles unless they don't conform to the e-bike or e-kick scooter regulations. Now, oddly enough, in Toronto, e-kick scooters are not permitted anywhere. E-bikes, however, are regulated to not exceed 32 kilometers an hour. If you do or are capable of going over 32 kilometers an hour, they are now motor vehicles, meaning they are now subject to any speeding tickets, as well as the ticket for driving without insurance, for driving without a driver's license, for driving without a license plate. You can see how suddenly it's not an e-bike, it's a motor vehicle, and you're in a bad place. Good morning, Leo wife, my wife, watching on YouTube. Hope you're doing well. And I know it's snack time, so it means my magical babies are watching too. Hi, guys. Love you. Miss you. It's weird coming after the weekend and having to go to work because I'd be cuddling on the couch right now with them. But I miss you, and I'll see you after work. Okay. What is this? Oh, okay. Wessel wants to know what happens and what are the fines if you get caught driver more than one person under 19 with less than 6 months of experience with a G2 class license. I have to look up what the actual fine is because I don't think I've talked about that in a long time, which means I've forgotten. It's my way of dancing around to say I just don't remember. But let's have a look. I think it's a condition, so I think it's $110, but I don't think you may actually get a 30-day suspension for it because you're still a graduated person. So let's see here. G2. Someone's making lots of noise here. Okay, here we go. $110. I was right. Class G2 license holder, more passengers than seatbelts. Here's G2 license holder, less than 6 months, excess passengers under 20. So no points. It is $110. And I don't see if it triggers a 30-day suspension, but I would think it would. But I don't know. We'll have to look it up later. That's as far down the rabbit hole as I can go in that question right now. But thank you for asking it. Let's jump into TikTok because TikTok's got lots of questions. Lots and lots and lots. Did you hear about someone who got pulled over with a G1 and no plates? I did not hear about them, but we just covered G1 oddly enough, so that's cool. Tell me more, Slambo. I want to know what happened with this person with, it's a great username, Slambo. Okay. I imagine it's like they slammed Lambo. I'm just assuming. Saw a couple of Lamborghinis, saw a couple of Ferraris this weekend. Okay. If you get pulled over, should you prep your info? My personal preference, and it's going to be different for every officer, is if I pull you over, I don't want you rustling around looking through your things. I get a little nervous when you start digging for things because people sometimes have guns. But generally speaking, wait until I ask you. I might just tell you that I pulled you over to tell you that your brake lights are out, and I'm not going to ask you anything. I'm just going to tell you that your brakes are out, turn them on. So, and I mean that by your nighttime, daytime lights as opposed to actually functioning brake. In any case, I may or may not ask you for your stuff, so don't start getting antsy preparing in advance. Okay, to remove this one. Q, how was your weekend? While I make small talk so I can look for questions to answer.
My weekend was eventful. Lots of packing to do.
Oh, you are moving soon. Very cool. Yeah, I was doing lots of stuff too. Very, very busy. I enjoyed the sun. I wore a hat, so I did do that this time. I'm still recovering from my first experience watching my kids play in the park, and I got roasted well, which is why I've got longer hair than normal. I'm peeling still.
Chia pet.
That's it.
Someone wants to know if they can keep a baseball bat in their car.
Assuming you're going to go play baseball, that's a great thing to carry, so you don't have to go back in the house to get it because when you're playing baseball, if you're carrying it as a weapon, that's a problem. But carrying a baseball bat for the purposes of playing baseball, that's a sports item. Okay, why do bikes have to be on the road versus the sidewalk? Well, the sidewalk is for pedestrians. They need a safe place to be too, and bikes are vehicles. They may be operated on the road, and they have to be operated on the road. You stay to the right, and drivers have to give you a meter of space, that 1 meter rule. Sidewalks, again, vulnerable road users. There's lots of people who need safe places, and they don't want to go on the road, and they shouldn't have to go on the road, whereas you can, because you can travel much faster. It becomes a hazard for pedestrians, really. If you are under the age of 14, so you are 13 and under in the city of Toronto, you can operate your bicycle on the sidewalk, but you still have to be cognizant of the people on the sidewalk and give them safe passage. You have to take care of them. So you have all the speed and the ability to avoid them and not get in their way. You can be charged as a cyclist on the sidewalk if you are traveling in such a way that you are creating issues, making it less safe. Is there a law on how full your trunk is? Back window blocked. Good question coming in from LinkedIn. Okay, so if your vehicle is packed so high and so full that you can't see, as long as you have a side mirror with clear view to the rear, you're okay. That's legal. And thank you, Andrew, for saying it's Andrew. Andrew has security, so we can't always see that it's Andrew. And Andrew used to work with the Toronto Police Service and has since gone off to Rogers, so I hope things are going well there. Now, moving back to the question, if it blocks your view, that's not a problem. But if it is so packed and you hit the brakes and things are insecure and it could be a hazard, there could be an avenue for charges there. But simply blocking the view, as long as you have a view to the rear, you're okay. Extension for a G2 license that expires August 2022. Well, you're in luck, my friend. G2s and G1s and M1s and M2s that expired after March, in March 2020 and all the way until December 31st are covered under an extension that covers them till December 31st of this year, 2022. So you're good to go right until the end of the year. That being said, make sure you pass, because I don't know what happens if you don't pass, if you have to take things over the following year. So if you, make sure you get your test for full G. How to get in the police force? So glad you asked. We are hiring. Check out www.tps.ca/careers for more information on how you could join this magical organization. You don't have to become a police officer if you don't want to. Well, you don't have to join our service if you don't want to. But if you're looking for a fantastic employer, a great job, a great place to work, that you found it. Go to our website, tps.ca/careers, for all sorts of opportunities, including uniform police officer, uniform parking officer, uniform special constable, and civilian jobs too. We have lots of people to make this machine work. And I say that because we have tech people, we have legal people, we have corporate communications people, and there are jobs in all sorts of different areas all the time. We even have mechanics. I mean, come on. We are the opportunity of a lifetime. When do I need to get an Ontario license? I'm assuming it means you've moved here. You need to apply for an Ontario license within 60 days of becoming a resident. That is the rule. I went to go press something and it didn't react. Let's see what's going on here.
What did you have for breakfast today?
I did not have breakfast. I am on coffee number 2.5.
Okay.
I started with one of my thermos. I got a Timmy's when we got here because we do our morning Timmy's walk. And then I made myself an espresso, but I put it in my Timmy's cup because I didn't want to have to make my mug dirty and then clean it again.
Do you like Spam?
I don't like Spam. I do not. I'm not even a fan of ham. That's not to say I don't eat pork. I just don't like ham. I think that the consistency of Spam reminds me of ham, and that's why I don't want to have either. If you are being rude, if you are making lives miserable by spamming the chat, it's no nice. Please don't. Okay. What is this?
I threw up on the screen.
You threw up on the screen the careers? Yes, you did. What is 5K? What are we talking about? 5K? Who? Where? Who? What? I see. Slabo says he should be in jail on a minimum of $5, and then he said $5,000. That makes way more sense now that you put a K beside it. All right. How can I identify an unmarked police car? The whole idea of an unmarked police car is that you don't identify it. If you mean like when you're being pulled over, how do you know? Chances are if you were being pulled over by a fully marked police car, you wouldn't know because they're behind you. All you see is the Christmas tree lights that are going off. You pull over, and if you have any questions as to whether or not they're actually the police, you can always call a dispatcher by way of calling or they're call the radio room, and they'll pick up and confirm that the person pulling you over is in fact a police officer. You can also have them show you their badge and warrant card. So that you feel comfortable. You can even have another car attend. But more often than not, you'll see that a fully uniformed member of the service gets out of the car. They're wearing body armor. It says police. They have ID, and they're pretty convincing. If someone is not a police officer, I think you'd figure it out pretty quick. Because the people who are lying about being police officers, well, they don't sound like police officers. They sound like people who are trying to sound like police officers, which is really sad. Okay, what are we talking about here? What's worse, performance mods or visual mods? Well, what's worse? Performance mods, if they're legal, are fine. Performance mods that are dangerous and illegal are not fine. Visual mods that make your car look different, as long as they're not blocking your view, which would be dangerous, are fine. So here's the deal. Legal mods are legal, illegal mods are illegal. I don't have a problem with either physical or performance as long as they're legal. I think I covered it both ways and upside down. How to become mods. Oh, join. We haven't talked about our Discord, and you know what? Our Discord is nowhere near as active, and that's my fault. It's my fault because I have had a life of being very busy, and I haven't been able to socialize on the on the Discord because that's in my off time. When I'm working, I'm either creating or writing or doing stuff that we need to do for the service. So mods very much a personal time thing, and I do try, and I want to have some mod meets and things like that. And as now the weather's getting nice, well, hopefully we'll do something cool. On your screen is the Discord code. It's how you could become a member of our Discord and get to know us, and then possibly join as a moderator. We have not added moderators in some time. We are talking about it. So for those who have asked to become moderators and haven't heard back yet, it's not you, it's us. We're just a little slow at the game. We're waiting for some stuff to happen, in terms of paperwork. Okay, question from possibly Andrew again. Are police scanners legal to own? Police scanners are just scanners. They're radio scanners, and they're legal to own. However, they may not hear very much. Most police services have converted to digital trunking systems, which means that you can't hear. You'd have to have more information than you can have to get through our coding systems to create security. We don't want to share information with the public when it comes to our safety and security and the safety and privacy of the information being transmitted. So back in the day, I had a scanner. I used to listen to the radio on the way to work and back because I wanted to know what was going on. I was curious. But now I can't. Now, the OPP in some jurisdictions still transmit in an open radio, so you could. In any case, many people are hobbyists and listen to this stuff, and it's totally cool. What is this?
Can you answer about tint? People want you to verbally answer instead of Emma responding in chat.
Tint? What are we asking about tint?
What's allowed? What's not allowed? What about windshield banners?
We have a tint video that's on the FAQ playlist, but happy to always talk about it. I also like that horn. So the deal is that you can have up to 30% light blockage on the windows left and right of the driver. You can have nothing on the front windshield. It must be free and clear of all tint, unless you have a vehicle that was manufactured in 2016 or older. At that point, you can have a 3-inch or 75 millimeter, which is roughly 3 inches, a bar, a sun strip at the top. But if it's a 2017 or newer, you cannot have anything on the windshield. When it comes to the windows behind the driver, you can have as dark as you want. You don't have to be able to see through those. Just like a panel van, you wouldn't have to. The only caveat is you must be able to have a clear view to the rear of the vehicle by way of side view mirrors. So if you have no mirrors at all, you're in trouble. When you talk about banners, windshield banners, stickers, any kind of attachment, you cannot have anything that's in the windshield wiper path. That would be considered in the driver's view, and that would be against the law. Additionally, you can't have your windows so dark or tinted with reflective coating. That would prevent anyone, not just police, from seeing inside. I know everyone wants to be able to pick their nose in privacy, but you're going to have to learn to be comfortable with your nose in your face, because if you're obstructing our ability to see in, and that could be to describe the driver who's running from a scene, it could be an Amber Alert situation, it could be a wearing your seatbelt, using your cell phone, drinking a beer, whatever the case may be. If we're trying to see in, or our public's trying to identify the driver, or even make non-verbal communication. They're trying to look inside to see the driver to make sure it's safe to drive, and if they're making eye contact to know that you're there. All those reasons and more are reasons you can't have dark tint, even if you're at 30% light blockage, which means you're legal for the purposes of safety. If it's dark outside, no one can see in, you're eligible for that ticket. Now, let's say you have windshield tint. Let's say you have super dark tint on the windows left and right of the driver. What could happen? Well, first of all, not being able to see in means you're obscuring the interior of a vehicle with a color or reflective coating. That is a $110 fine. And that's great. But if your vehicle is so dark that it would not pass a safety inspection, or you have it on the windshield, that could mean an unsafe vehicle, or drive I had the wording up yesterday, but now I'm all tongue-tied. I don't remember what the exact wording is, but it's basically unsafe vehicle, which means we would take your license plates, return them to the Ministry of Transportation. You would get towed because you can't drive, and that's a bad day for you. So don't do these things because it's not worth it. I don't know if it's for aesthetics or you just don't want to buy sunglasses, but tinted windows that are too dark are dangerous. And people say, well, I can see out. Technically speaking, you reduce the light, you see less, even if you can still make out what's there. So that's covering the tint on cars. And this is Ontario, maybe different in different jurisdictions. I know in the United States you can have a doctor's note and tint your front windshield. There's no medical exemption in the province of Ontario. And until such time as there is, you can't have it. Buy glasses. What is the law about carrying guns in your truck? Depends on what kind of guns we're talking about, restricted, non-restricted, and why you want to carry guns in your truck. Are you transporting it to the range? You're going hunting? My suggestion would be put it in a lock case out of sight because people get really freaked out when you're carrying guns. It tends to result in police officers pulling you over at gunpoint. It really depends on what you're doing. Technically speaking, long guns that are unrestricted could be transported, in a gun rack, but that would be not a good way to go in today's day and age. If you're a restricted firearm owners, you know what the rules are, so you don't need me to talk about them. Take a course, become a member of a gun club, and or get your hunting license, and all of this is covered, so you don't need to ask. Can you warn other drivers of a speed trap? Can you legally? Yeah. Can you or should you morally? No. The reason we are enforcing the speed laws is because it's dangerous. Speeding kills. I know many people don't like this, but guess what? It still kills. So we would ask that you follow the rules and not tell anybody that we're there so we can catch them, so we can give them a ticket, so they can have that ticket, have it really feel not so good, and then they change their driving behavior. And you might save a life by letting them get the ticket. You don't get any recognition for warning them. You're not helping anyone, but to make the roads less safe. And, we got Staff Smith here. I'm looking for the link. What's the link? What are we looking at?
TPS 39.
No, I know who it is. I'm saying, what are we looking at? What's the link? In lieu of listening to our radios, we provide this information to the public. Oh, that's great. They're talking about the scanner. So that is a live dashboard of all the calls that are going on. Yeah, it's true, but it doesn't, and it prevents us from sharing information that would be too much information. That could be putting officers at risk or private information out in the world. Okay, that's very cool. So this is for those that are on Instagram, and basically on our website there's a live page that shows everything that's going on in the city, which is pretty cool. What is the point of unmarked active police cars? Unmarked vehicles, especially in an enforcement capacity, allow us to go and see people acting the way they would act if they didn't think the police were there. Very often that means breaking the law, whether it be in a criminal respect or driving. So we have unmarked police cars so that we can catch people who are breaking the law and not have them adjust their driving behavior temporarily while they know the police are watching. That concept of when the cat is away, the mouse will play. Yeah. In this case, we are, in fact, the cat. And when you think the cat is away, people very often pull their cell phones out or speed unnecessarily. And the truth is, any speeding is unnecessary speeding because it's against the law. Okay. Tinto Tosi from Montreal says, through Facebook, would it be subject to a ticket when the car cuts you off by, cuts off by the right side on a green light and there's a walker crossing the light? Both cars, this is very involved. Car cuts off by the right side on a green light and there's a walker crossing. Both cars were continuing straight on the street. I don't know. I'm not sure I'm picking up what you're putting down. Q, can you have a look at that and just make sure I'm scanning through it? I'm not getting the question. The drivers crossed through.
I'm guessing if there's a crosswalker, because Tinto Tosi did speak about crosswalking before,
Yes.
And if they're going straight on the light is green, but the person cuts through on the right side.
So if they're not, they have to yield to the pedestrian. If the pedestrian's not being impacted by them going through, then they're good. They were going straight. So if the pedestrian crossed their path and they had passed that side of the street, they'd be okay to go through if the light was in their favor, or if they were making the right turn. Again, legally doing it. So is this a stop sign or is this a signalized intersection? So many questions. Okay.
There's a question coming in from Instagram. If you're driving someone else's car and the officer issues a tint ticket, does it go to the driver of the car
Yes, good question.
or the owner?
It goes to, well, there's two ways to go. If it's so dark that it's unsafe, you could go after, the officer can charge the driver for for the obscure interior vehicle. The owner could be responsible for permitting an unsafe vehicle to be on the road. So there's two ways to go. It depends on what charge is being laid. But generally speaking, it's going to be the driver who's held responsible, even though it's not owned by them.
What are the chances of both getting issued then?
It's entirely possible. It depends on which charges. When you look at commercial vehicles, the driver gets charged because they should know better. They did an inspection, and then the business who owns the vehicle also gets charged because they put them in a situation to take that vehicle. So interesting. What is this? Can I be in the RCMP if I was born in Canada? A resident.
Wasn't.
I'm sorry?
Wasn't. If I wasn't born in Canada.
Oh, if I wasn't. Sorry. Thank you for correcting my reading ability this morning. Yes. I say yes with the RCMP. I assume it's the same as being a member of the Toronto Police Service. You must only be a permanent resident. It does not require you to be a citizen. It may be different for the RCMP, and you best to check their website for detailed information. Okay. They were going. Okay, so this is more information from Tinto Tosi. They were going straight. It was among themselves, two cars, lights. It was a fight among two cars, nothing to do with walkers. So then I really don't understand what the question. Oh, one car cuts off the right side at a green. I still don't
I guess they're
understand.
both going straight, and it's on an intersection where the car kind of merges.
Oh,
into
so
the
they
left lane
made an
instead,
unsafe
in
lane
an
change.
yeah.
So yeah, they can get charged for unsafe lane change. If it was a race situation, it could be stunt driving. I don't know enough to really know where we're going with this, but yeah, definitely there could be charges laid. Unsafe lane change at very least. Driving safer at 100 when everybody else is 120. So driving safer at 100 when everyone else is doing 120, I think what we need to do is acknowledge the fact that everyone needs to do 100. If people are choosing to break the law, stay to the right. Let them pass you. But you are following the rules of the road when you are not exceeding the speed limit. There is no lawful exception or permission for you to exceed the speed limit because you feel that it would be safer to go and break the law with everybody else. Really, what we need to do is change the way we operate instead of following the pack and making it okay because they're doing it. We have to stand up and do the right thing and slow down. I'll tell you what, I set my speedometer or my cruise control every morning when I hit the highway, and I stay at 100 kilometers an hour. And when I get onto the highway that is 90 kilometers an hour, I reduce my speed to 90 kilometers an hour. I think actually I was 92 today. I broke the rules. I was up just above. Yeah, I had to back it off. So for a short period of time, I was at 92, not 100. Not 90. In any case, did I make people crazy? Sure. Were they all breaking the law? Absolutely. Did I care that they were upset? Not one bit. So, yeah. They figured it out. Okay, he should be in jail? No, we talked about this one already. Remove question. $300 charge in illegal Cadillac. What are we talking? Oh, we're still talking about the... so this is the unplated, unlicensed driver doing 130 and 80. How do you get let off? Okay, I'm going to have to look up the story. Now I'm really interested. I was interested before, now I'm really interested. Can I keep a copy of my ownership instead of the original? Absolutely, assuming that copy is a true copy, which is front and back, of a valid document. It can't be the original document from 1972 and you've had 27 changes of it and updates. You need to have valid versions. Now, I say that, and I don't know if they're going to be reissuing any ownership documents now with the new system, or if you're just going to have a stack of renewal documents with it. In any case, a photocopy of both sides is going to be okay as long as you can articulate that it is valid or show that it's valid. Can you motorbike at night with a tinted visor? Oh, this is always an interesting question. So can you see? It's the same as wearing sunglasses. There's no charge for wearing sunglasses at night. Having a visor is not related to the vehicle. So could you have an improper helmet charge? I don't believe one exists. Is it safe? No, it's not smart at all. What many riders do, including myself, is I have a tinted visor. It comes off, and I can replace it with my clear visor. At least when I was wearing full face helmets. Now I tend to wear 3/4 helmets. Let's see here. Best thing, sunglasses for day, clear glasses for night. What is this? There is a post on Reddit about someone driving alone in a G1 being let off with a warning and not towed away. Is that seriously allowed with officer discretion? If an officer did that, they may be very kind, but they just took on all the liability of what happens next. Because if that person killed somebody, that officer permitted it to happen. So that officer not making good decisions, it shouldn't happen. I can't say that it did happen. It happened on Reddit. We don't know if it's true. But no one should let an unlicensed driver drive away. And that's exactly what a G1 driver is. They are only permitted to operate a vehicle while being directly supervised. So thanks for that, JC. Is there a law being too low and having camber? Yes, having so much camber that you've changed the dynamics of how the tire meets the road is to make a vehicle unsafe. If you have changed that angle that you're running on the inside wall of your tire, you are creating a situation where you're going to have a blowout. Rapid wear to that tire, you're not going to get any mileage to it, and you're going to have a blowout. And we see this happen. So, should you be doing it? No. Will you get pulled over and taken off the road? Depends on the camber. And being too low, absolutely a problem, depending on how low it is. If there's any prevention of going lock to lock, when you go lock to lock, steering all the way to the left or all the way to the right, and there's any contact at all with your tire to the body or to the frame or to any components, that is instantly an unsafe vehicle. Why? Think about it. Also, if there's any contact with body to ground, if there's in a non-functioning suspension system, it's so solid because you took out basically all of the springs or cut it to the point where it's basically resting on metal, that's not functioning, that's not safe. So that would be unsafe vehicle. Cool. We've got some good questions today. This is good stuff. Now, just to give Andrew some more information, if you were to lower your vehicle more than 1.5 inches from factory, according to our mechanic friends, apparently that would be a charge for making it unsafe. We're not being safety-able. So but that's not what police do at the side of the road. Q says there's an improper helmet charge. Improper helmet charge isn't. I don't think it would qualify for a tinted visor. Improper helmet is usually when you have a helmet that doesn't meet the impact or legal requirements for being used on the road, or it's been modified in such a way that it no longer meets the it's more impact. I don't think it's visor situation. Because again, you can flip up the visor. So you can't have improper, not proper, improper. It doesn't make sense to me. So I don't think it would apply, but I have to reread that section to see if a visor would trigger an improper helmet charge. Here's a good question. We've talked about this a number of times, but you know what? Some people pop in just for a hello and never see us again. Does school speed limit? I have to change the language here. Are school speed limits applicable on weekends and holidays? Yes, unless it's signed otherwise. Some signs say Monday to Friday this speed, otherwise, and they'll show both options. If it doesn't have an option, it is all the time. So it's whatever the sign says.
How long did it
take? Good morning.
Ooh.
We have Sergeant Campbell who's joining us. I will wait. Okay, you are now with a live microphone and all that jazz.
Good morning, Sean. How are you?
I am well. How art thou?
I'm doing good. I've got a few minutes. I was popping by, so
very cool.
I'd stop in.
This is a good question we can chat about while you're here. We were just deliberating as to whether or not having a tinted visor on a helmet would constitute an improper helmet, because it's so dark that you couldn't see. I don't think it would, but it's an interesting discussion point that was brought up.
I don't know if it would be an improper helmet, because it would meet all the safety specs, except that you've modified it from what it was originally. If it came with it originally.
Well, they sell visors, interchangeable visors.
Yep.
And I don't think there's a law that says between the hours of 9 to 5 you can have it, but when the lights go out, I don't think there's any condition that would suggest that.
So either.
And if we say the helmet had a clear visor, but you chose to wear your sunglasses at night, just like a certain song, could you be charged? I don't think there is a charge.
No,
that would be applicable.
I don't think so.
It's just,
although I do know that some visors are meant for off-road use only. So you'd have to check the validity of your visor before you attach it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people riding around with with snowmobile visors because they have those insets for peel off. It looks like there's a little rivet so you can peel things off. I think if it's
that's for dirt biking, and that's for the mud.
Oh,
when you're in a race and you get mud all over your goggles, you can peel off the sticky strip and get a clear view.
Things I've never had to deal with.
Snowmobile visors, on the other hand, are not legal for the road.
Really? Not optically correct?
Right, because they are two lenses with an air gap in the middle.
To prevent fog.
To prevent fogging. and they're not actually legal for the road.
That's good to know. And so what would you charge them for that? They're using an improper visor,
Right, so it'd be an improper helmet because it's
attaching
not-
it, and now you're making the whole helmet improper. So then maybe we do have a route for tinted visor. Boy, the person who asked this question may have triggered a change in. If one applies, then the other one might apply.
You know what? We'll have to research it.
We're going to do some research.
I know that the snowmobile one though says it right on it that is not legal for road use.
Interesting. All right. Is motorcycle filtering legal? If not, what's the fine? Motorcycle filtering, is that where you, I don't know, you're talking about lane filtering. So lane filtering and lane splitting, two different things we talk about. Neither is considered a safe practice. Either could result in charges of careless driving. In Los Angeles, this is where it's legal in some jurisdictions like Los Angeles, very wide highways, and as long as I think it's under 50 kilometers an hour, you can cross or you can travel between vehicles. At high speeds, you cannot, from my understanding. In any case, here, if you were to do that, it could even result in stunt driving charges if you're weaving through traffic at a high rate of speed, splitting between vehicles. Now, filtering is that's actually what you asked. Lane filtering is when you come to slow or stopped traffic traveling between the spaces. Could it be careless? Could be careless. It's certainly not an advised practice. It's not something we suggest doing. There's a lot of, you can't factor what people who are already not paying attention and using their cell phones are doing. It could result in an injury, and it will likely be yours.
So each vehicle is legally allowed to occupy a lane, and they get to occupy that space. If you're trying to put a third vehicle in between two other vehicles, I've seen some motorcycles try to pass vehicles while there's oncoming vehicles coming on a two-lane road, going right up the center line. That would be improper.
So
Same would be in effect for if there's multiple lanes going the same direction and you're going between them.
Well, so what happens? So he's talking about filtering. So the traffic has come to a stop. You're 3 cars down. You make a little walkie walk between, just like a bicycle going across the side. That's the filtering, where you're just sort of coming to the front so you can take off at the front and be ahead of the pack, gaining the benefit of a few car lengths. Not suggested practice.
No, and you're not supposed to be passing anybody on the right anyways.
Or left, in between. Or actually, if you're on the left, you're passing someone on the right too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All around bad idea. What's the charge? Well, if we went with careless, is that $395?
Yes.
$395, 6 demerit points? It all depends. And here's the thing. Traffic, as you may have noticed in the last 3 minutes of conversation, leaves room for interpretation. So some officer may not give you a charge, may not pull you over. Others may charge you with careless driving or something else that they feel is appropriate. Unsafe move. It could be an unsafe move charge. Because there's no specific lane filtering charge. So it's how the officer is interpreting the actions and risk and so on. So I would say don't do it, because anything else would be suggesting that it's allowed and it's not.
And it's the observations of the officer.
Absolutely. So like I said, some officers may say, yeah, they do it themselves. They think it's okay. I don't know. Everyone's got a different opinion. However, you're going to get someone who says it's not permitted because, well, it's not permitted. Okay. How do cops catch an uninsured or an unlicensed driver? Well, very often it's because we're checking and looking for vehicles to make sure that they are licensed, insured, and that the driver's sober. So we stop cars all the time. We run license plate checks all the time. And if there's any issues with those, we see them. Now the insurance status, whether or not it's confirmed or unconfirmed, comes up, and we can see that when we run your license plate. So very often we pull cars over to further investigate, which is why we then make a demand for license ownership and insurance, so we can verify more fully the details of the information. Well, obviously, if the driver's not licensed, we're going to see that immediately. We already know it. If the person without a license owned the car, we would show that they had a suspended license or they had lapsed and they were now considered unlicensed. Now, when it comes to insurance, again, same thing applies. So it's a lot of things that happen by chance. We run them. We get involved in a speeding situation where they have an infraction. We pull them over. We investigate. Or there's a collision and we investigate. Those are generally. Sometimes we get tips though. Sometimes people call in and say, "Hey, I know my driver, my next door neighbor doesn't have a license and he's driving every day." That happens too. So many different ways. Okay. Questions, lots of questions. Good morning, Ryan Pinn. He's late, and we noticed. How to fight a distracted driving ticket. We believe in prevention versus, action after the fact. The best thing to do is not to use your cell phone or communication device or entertainment device or looking at somebody else's device while operating a motor vehicle, and that would prevent the situation altogether. I can't tell you how to fight those tickets because I would tell you somebody else how to charge you for that ticket. I'm in the business of giving tickets, not defending them. So you'd need to read. Actually, I can tell you one piece of advice. You can go check out the POA Guide for Defendants. It's available for free online. It'll give you at very least some information as to how the court system works. In terms of the ins and outs of the charge, the best thing is don't do it.
Yeah, I agree. It all depends on the evidence that's going to be presented to you. Look up that guide and have a look at the disclosure you get. If you did it, then
you know you did it.
You know you did it.
Yeah.
And to be able to fight that is, well, could be costly, but that's totally up to you. It's something that is an option for anybody to be able to fight something if they don't believe they're guilty of it.
And just something to make it clear. Holding it in your hand, even if the battery was dead, is classified and has been upheld in court as use. Using your phone beyond that of simply answering a call by swiping or tapping on or off or pick up or start, end, send, end. I'm trying to think of, back when we had buttons, it was send and end, right? So aside from a mounted phone, send and end, that's the end of the conversation as to how much contact you can have in your vehicle. Even having it on your lap, I've seen charges where people have had it on their lap, they're driving around. Well, obviously, if it's in your lap, you're using it because otherwise it would be somewhere other than your lap. Okay. Do I still need to renew my sticker? 430,000 people watched our video that went out on Friday to that effect, and sort of. The stickers are gone. You need to renew your permit, your license plate, the ownership document. That has to be renewed every 1 to 2 years, depending on when you renewed last, and if you choose to renew for 1 or 2 years. I don't know why there's an option, but there's an option. You go to the Ministry of Transportation website. I actually did this for my father over the weekend. You type in the license plate, the permit number, and you answer the question I've asked as to whether or not you've moved. From there, you can go through, and if it's free because you have no fines, it'll just let you continue and renew. And again, you can choose 1 year or 2. I don't know why anyone would choose 1 year to have to remember to do it right away the next year, but gives you the option. Some people will be prompted to pay, like maybe my father, who had like $50 of 407 that he had not paid because he wasn't paying attention. People, when they get older, they don't, whatever. He had to pay $50 to renew because he had outstanding debt or fine on his account. Everybody else who's up to date, well, it just goes through with a click and no money has to transfer.
Depending on the class of vehicle, though.
Yes, and there are specifics on that on the website. So it'll tell you right away, and it'll verify whether you're eligible. So I went through. His was a passenger vehicle, just a sedan. Boom, it went through no problem. Light trucks, I think it's under is it 35?
I think it's 3,000 kilograms.
3,000 kilos?
Yep.
It's in the video I put up on Friday. Check it out. It's the one with a whole bunch of views. It's like 430,000, yeah. Lots and lots and lots. So that was a good video for us. In any case, that's the information. You don't have to pay, but you do have to renew. But there's no sticker. Boy. Thoughts on CSIS? It's an interesting acronym. I don't have any thoughts on CSIS. I've never had any reason to deal with them. Have you ever dealt with CSIS?
I have not.
Wow, they're secret CSIS. Let's see here. What are the consequences of a hit and run? Well, there's charges that can be laid. It all depends on what happens, but ultimately you are responsible when involved in a collision to stop, to report, to exchange information, at very least.
Render assistance.
And render assistance, especially when, the situations when people hit other people. And they could do so much better by just waiting, making sure they're okay. Necessities of life, making sure that person's okay, calling 911. And when they run, they make things much more complicated. And, of course, the potential of going to jail. Because it gets quite serious.
No matter what, it's costly.
Yes.
It is.
And I've had situations where people in parking lots have hit pedestrians, and then they've run away. And the funny thing was, if they would have just stayed, they would have had nothing. They couldn't get charged for insurance. They couldn't get charged for the collision. All it was contact. It would have been reported, but they ran away, and it just got so much more complicated. And they ended up being charged and convicted. For things other than what would have happened if they would have just stayed put and made sure the person was okay. Can I turn left on a red light on a one-way street? So in Ontario, unless signed otherwise, you can in fact make a left turn from a one-way to another one-way if it's safe to do so and after completing a stop. But that's the only situation that I'm aware of in Ontario where you can make a left on a red.
If you are traveling on a bidirectional road and you're intersecting with a single lane, like a single direction road, you still cannot make the left turn.
It's only one way to one way. It's
That's
the
correct.
only situation. Yes, it's very important to acknowledge one way to one way. And you know what? I just wait for the light because 30 seconds more and your day is so much safer.
Yep.
Because it's just an out of character process. Even though it's legal, half the people don't realize it's legal. I'd go to 90% of people don't realize it's safe and legal if it's done properly. So anytime you do anything that is out of the ordinary, people, risk goes up.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like roundabouts. As this weekend I have roundabouts on the route that I was on, and I talk about this all the time. Internationally known as the safer way to go, and yet I see people locking up their wheels because they have no idea what the other person is. And something that I'm now really cognizant of: signaling. Nobody signals their way out of a roundabout as they should. So people don't know and can't predict what you're about to do. So they sit there and they're judging and they're going forward. They're hovering on that brake and the hood's bouncing up, and it looks like a car show. Very sad.
I love them
I know you said so,
when they're operated correctly.
and that's
When
it.
everybody does it correctly.
And that's where we need people to be on board and educated. Thoughts on flow of traffic speeding. Speeding is not legal. You cannot exceed the speed limit. If everybody else is speeding and you decide to speed too, you are breaking the law just like them. So my thoughts are you should be doing the speed limit. You can be pulled out of the crowd. It doesn't mean that because everybody else is doing it that you're safe and will be avoiding a ticket. It's just not the case. You can be charged for speeding if you are speeding at any speed over the speed limit.
Automated speed enforcement doesn't discriminate. It'll give everybody tickets.
Yes, and I think that's a great thing. I know I was talking to Jerry Agar on the air a couple weeks ago, and he's like, we don't want to have to be in the place where we have everybody getting a ticket on automated speed cameras. But you know what? With the way that speeding is being abused, you wait. The speeders on the road will be responsible for bringing this into law. It'll be the behaviors of the current, drivers on the road. Their abuse of the law is going to make it where everyone gets punished, and it's going to be a very different way of driving. I can just see the day. Okay, what do we got here? I've gotten yelled at by another road user for teaching my student how to turn left on a red. I smiled and said, have a great day. Smiling is what I do very often. I thank people for their assistance with the algorithm when they give us nasty comments here. Don't do the right thing and don't let anyone ruin your day. Do screens on new vehicles have rules while driving? So here's the thing, whether it's an electronic control panel or it's a physical knob, don't play with your knobs when you should be paying attention to the road. If it's not a distracted driving charge, but if you're distracted from driving, you may find yourself with a careless driving charge because your ability to navigate that vehicle safely is impacted, and then you might impact something.
Which is not good.
No bueno.
I've actually had an occasion where I've charged somebody with a handheld communication device and careless.
Oh, yeah?
In set of circumstances.
Nice.
You know what? Pick it up. That's one charge. Pick it up, use it, don't pay attention to what's going on around you. That's another charge. That is definitely careless.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. How do you pick yourself up from making a mistake? What do you mean? Like mistakes happen, whether it be me giving the incorrect information on a live show and being corrected by Sergeant Campbell.
Or the other way around.
Or the other way around. The fact is, it happens, and you acknowledge whatever you did wrong, and you make better choices next time. It doesn't matter if it's me on the air here, if it's driving, if it's anything you do. Mistakes happen. It's part of being human, and if you make a boo-boo, you acknowledge it, you change from it, and then you move forward.
Don't do it twice.
Yeah, it's shame. What is it? Shame on them, shame on me, that type of thing?
Yep.
Although not applied properly in this scenario, but if you keep making the same mistake, it's on you. I have 5% on my windshield. Is that okay? Not in Ontario. That's an unsafe vehicle. You're going to get towed because you're going to lose your license plates. And it's an unsafe vehicle. Instant loss of your plates in my books. Although I've seen many people who will peel off their windshield tint at the side of the road to prevent an officer from taking their license plates off and returning them to the ministry. Because ultimately what you've done is, you still get charged, but it's just not taking the plates potentially.
Sorry, wasn't paying attention.
This is 5% tint on the windshield.
5% blockage or 5% total?
Well, I assume he means 5% permit. Well, 5%. Good question. Do you mean 5% light getting through, or do you mean 5% light blockage? Because anything on the windshield is
Front windshield? Yeah. No. Bad.
Doesn't matter whether it's 95 or 5.
Yeah.
It's a violation that's considered unsafe because you couldn't get your vehicle safetied with that on there. And people argue this all the time. But my eyes hurt. Buy sunglasses. At this point, I'm convinced it's just for looks.
Yep.
Because there's already UV coating on the glass, so there's no justification for putting that on there at all.
Yep.
And it's illegal. What are the sound laws for exhausts? Sound laws for exhausts. So unnecessary noise is the big thing that we deal with because we don't do the whole decibel meter thing. That's something the mechanics can do or make sure that it's running properly, 74 decibels at idle. For us, it's unnecessary noise. So if you're creating unnecessary noise, you are, whether it be your exhaust system, your horn because you like honking, or your stereo because you like the beats, or you're squealing your tires. All of those things are unnecessary. But the same thing is, it doesn't have to be defect. It could be behavior. You could have a brand new Honda Civic that is like an egg beater and quiet, but you like to rev it up to 9,000 RPM to travel at 20K an hour. That's going to be unnecessary noise. So that's a $110 fine. And of course, if you have defects with your muffler, there's additional charges that come up there. Oh, 5% light. Unruly Cordy wants to say confirms it's 5% light getting through. Whether it was 5% light getting through or 95% light getting through on the windshield, that is illegal. And Brian Mills, my buddy, says, good morning, everyone. I'm sure this has been covered before, but if a school bus stops at an all-way stop to let kids out and engages the lights, are all directions of traffic required to stop? I know for safety reasons, everyone should stop, but where does the law fall on it? This is a great question. And I don't know why they'd be stopping at a four-way stop, because I personally, as Sean, would want them to stop a little bit behind the intersection, not to confuse every driver. But the law says you cannot pass them. You cannot pass the stop sign. You cannot pass the vehicle. But it doesn't mean you can't drive past them going the other direction. So four-way intersection there on the north stop, I'm miming now for the sergeant. So they're stopped here before the stop sign. You're here. Can you drive past this way?
Right, because you wouldn't actually be passing.
You won't be passing the bus.
The bus, right, and putting people in danger. Now, what if you've got a divided highway?
Well, this is a different situation. So you're behind the bus, and they put their flashing lights on and stop, and then the stop sign comes out. You cannot pass them. Now, the vehicles traveling the other direction, it depends. If it is an undivided highway, line on the road, but no planter, no raised barricade, that is one where they must stop in both directions. They cannot pass forwards or from the front or the back. But if there are barricades, if there are those planters, raised areas, barricades, then they can continue. It's a divided highway, and that's where it changes. Same thing for police vehicles, or emergency vehicles. If the lights and sirens are going on a divided highway, you're going the other way. You don't have to pull over, and that's good to know, because we see people do some wild and not so good things when they see lights and sirens going, which is a whole other discussion where people lose their minds that we will often go to a call even though our lights and sirens aren't active, and it's for safety. It's because people don't know how to interact with us, and it's unsafe.
Yeah, they do silly things.
Yeah. What is this? What to do about so many tinted license plates everywhere? Well, we try and get ahead of the curve by doing this whole education thing on social media. We talk about it. People get mad. People say, aren't there real crimes that you could be investigating? And then we tell them again, because we don't want to give you a $110 ticket for a plastic cover on your license plate. It's as simple as that. If you can prevent getting that ticket being stopped and inconvenienced by just following the rules, take it off your plate. Take it off your car. If you choose to leave it on, you're willfully putting on an illegal cover. You're blocking your plate, and it's against the law. You're going to get stopped and charged. Eventually, our focus is always going to be on the big four. That is speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. We are focused on the stuff that will lead to serious injury and death on our roads. That being said, I was behind a truck that was speeding aggressively. They were doing 150 and weaving in and out of traffic. That was someone who deserved to be arrested for dangerous operation, in my opinion, and I couldn't read their license plate because they had a tinted cover. Funny how that works, right? So very often people are putting these plates covers on with the intention of getting away from police.
I have zero sympathy for somebody with tinted plate covers, and I will pull you over specifically
For that reason.
because the whole reason of tinting your plate cover is to
Avoid
stop
detection.
somebody seeing it.
Yeah, and there's clear covers as well that have they have different ways of obscuring the plate for cameras. So to avoid fines or to avoid what's it called, the tolls, and those are illegal too. So no plate covers at all whatsoever permitted on your stuff, and no frames, like all these dealership frames. And some people said, well, now that the sticker's gone, I'm not obstructing the sticker. Can't I have my frame now? You don't need a frame. It doesn't protect your plate, and it's illegal. You can't cover up the Ontario or the Yours to Discover or any portion of your plate. And just take them off. Simple as that. What is this? Filtering with motorcycles to stoplights. We talked about this. Filtering, this is called spam when you ask the same thing a number of times. Why can you buy these tinted plates at Walmart? There are many things you can purchase that are not legal for use. Many things. And just because you can buy them doesn't make them legal. And yes, and Q prompts me to say, it's Police Week. And we are police. This is our week. Did you know it's your week? Happy Police Week.
Happy Police Week to you. I knew it was Police Week, but...
It started yesterday.
Well, there we go.
Why do things start on Sundays? So this begs the question, is Sunday the first day of the week or is it the last day of the week?
I think it's the last day.
So why is it starting on a Sunday? I don't get it. In any case, sorry?
Preemptive.
Yes, we're getting ahead of things. We're using last week, so it's almost like having 2 weeks, but it's weird. At the end of the day, it is still Police Week, and we're going to share some content. It's not new content, but it's content from previous Police Weeks. I have some great videos that give some details as to the special things we have at Traffic Services. Things like the photo unit, which is now photo officers as opposed to a photo coordinator, but we have him in a video, and he shows off some of the equipment he uses. We have a recon unit. We have our breath coordinator, and we have some videos that just explain a little bit more about what we do. Different from what you see here where we answer your questions. And I've never made a video about what we do. We just do what we do.
Yeah. What's a recon, Sean?
Recon. The reconstructive, what is the full name for it?
The
reconstruction unit.
Collision reconstruction unit.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This and more you will get from tuning in and watching on our YouTube channel. I might be able to re-clip it for TikTok. I don't know if I've done that, but we'll try that for today. In any case, the week is Police Week, and we will have information for you and go from there. Let's see, what else we got here? Only a few minutes left. Oh, go ahead.
How long did it take you to become a traffic cop?
I saw that message, and I was going to address it, and then I forgot about it. Sorry. I started as an auxiliary officer back in 2000. I was recruited directly into traffic because I had a motorcycle license, and they were looking for people who could ride. So as an auxiliary officer, I joined traffic. But when I became a police officer later, I went to a division. And I probably would still be at the division had it not been for the fact that they were centralizing traffic. I did want to come here. I knew I wanted to come here, but the opportunity was presented in 2014, I think, that's when I joined up and started working with Sergeant Campbell here. I came to B Platoon at Traffic Services because I applied to come down as part of the centralization, and that was history. I always wanted to be here, but I applied to be here. And some people come here because that's where they get when they come out of the college, just because we need people and we get people. So it depends. It used to be that it was a very specific person who was coming to traffic, someone who had years of service and applied and had sort of cut their teeth out on the road and could work on their own, didn't need supervision. It was a very different way of getting in, and it's a very specialized area.
I remember back in 2014, saw your name on a list somewhere, and somebody recommended you, and that's why you came to our platoon.
Yes, they made a case. They made a case to bring me down.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that. It was good. It was the beginning of the rest of my life. It sounds like what's that? This is your life. What is that? What was that? That was back in the '60s, or maybe it was Sesame Street. Wasn't there? This is your life. Anyway, I have to go find it and make a video about it. Let's see what's going on here. We're getting mighty close with 1 minute to 11. We may have to extend this by a minute or two. Sean, ever since failed to maintain marked lane was removed as a violation, there is nothing prohibiting a motorcycle from splitting lanes driving between lane 1 and lane 2. I hear what you're saying in terms of fail to drive in marked lane. I don't agree that there isn't anything we can do. I still think the catch-all of careless is applicable, but it's something that the courts would ultimately have to discuss. But that's true. They removed the fail to marked lane and fail to drive in marked lane. But if you're driving within a lane and not on a dotted line, I think you're still in a marked lane.
Yeah, well, if you're, in the lane sharing it with another vehicle that is allowed to occupy the entire lane,
That's where the careless.
That's where it becomes dangerous. And that's why we said, you know what, it all depends on the situation. It all depends on what the officer observed.
Absolutely.
And how the officer...
I got to stop you for 1 second. 5 seconds before Instagram cuts out because we don't have the verification to let us go more than an hour. So it was a blast. We'll be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock and see you then. And they're gone. And sorry, go ahead. We unpaused you. He was sitting here like this.
No, I was just saying that, you know what, every situation is different. And if you think it's totally legal, it is not, because if the situation presents itself, the officer could lay a charge.
Yeah, and ultimately, like I was saying before when we were talking about it, it doesn't mean you're going to get charged. It's just that you could be charged, and it's not something we suggest, and you take those chances, and you may find yourself in a bind. Also, if it results in a collision, your insurance company is likely going to deny your claim because, again, you're putting yourself in a position of risk, and they're all about managing risk. Let's see here. We're going to put here all right. I'm going to shut off this little amp because we don't need it anymore. I was feeding the Instagram folks with audio, and they're gone. So turn it off. Same with my battery. Okay. What is this? You've got Good Soul Make Podcast. Would listen to it. Hey, guess what? We actually do have a podcast, and I just finished editing episode number 4. You know, that whole concept of once a week, that's a lot of commitment, but we're working on it. I did an episode. So first of all, it's called TPS Traffic Jam. It's where we jam with people who want to jam about traffic. It's no music. We're just talking jam. It's different. What kind of jam? Raspberry's my favorite.
Ooh.
I'm a raspberry. I'll deal with strawberry if I have to, but I'm really all about raspberry. But with sufficient and appropriate peanut butter. Gotta have it. So we have TPS Traffic Jam. We're on episode 4, which is going to be uploaded maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But you can then listen to it while you drive without having to worry about wanting to watch us because we're a distraction. It's not the same format of this. It's not a Q&A. It's not just bundling up this episode and replaying it, although that could work for filler. We actually do an interview-style show, and the show that's coming out next is with Carolyn Swinson, who is the director. Sorry, she's a director? She is director of victim services for MAD Toronto, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and that is exactly what we talk about for about 45 minutes, and it's a great episode. She has quite an interesting story, and I know we'll have her on again because it was great having her, and this was just the first of many. Matt is one of our partners. They do amazing work, and I learned so much. And not only did I learn so much during that episode, but the very next day, somebody came upstairs and said, "Hey, we've got somebody was involved in losing a family member to impaired driving. They want to volunteer with MAD. Would you know who I could direct them to?" And I went, "Hey." It's kismet. I was able to connect them to not only get support, but be able to help and support MAD. It was perfect. It was truly, kismet. Anyway, let's go here. Oh, Ryan Pin says Costco strawberry jam is what he likes. Yeah, I know we're friends, but
I like strawberry.
I could deal with it if I have to, but it's not my thing. It's not my jam, man. It's not my jam.
I need you to verbally confirm something, sirs.
What's
Our
up?
B-plate series covered for warranty for exchange.
So here's a funny conversation. I was getting gas at Costco yesterday, and when I was at, you going?
Yeah, I have to run.
Okay.
So you do your Costco story, and
then I'm going to run.
I will say bye to everybody.
Ciao for now. Thanks for stopping by.
Bye, Sergeant Campbell.
He is gone. So I'm getting gas at Costco, and I happened to notice that the chap beside me in the gas pump had a fully peeled plate, like nothing left on there, not nothing, just pure metal. And I said, "Is that a B series plate?" And he says, "Yeah." And I said, "They cover those for free?" And he goes, "Yeah, no, they don't." And he got into an argument with the people at the ministry who denied replacing his plate for free. So that's interesting because I've had many people who follow us say that they have, in fact, had their plates replaced at no cost because the B Series is one that is acknowledged as defective, and they've extended, I think, forever the replacement on it. So now the question is, who's right? We've been told one thing. Is it accurate? If you work for the Ministry of Transportation and you know the answer to this, please reach out to us because I'm about to send an email to find out from on high as to what the rules are, because we've been telling people, because we were operating under that information, that B Series had that extended period because they were acknowledged defective from manufacturer. The other ones have a 5-year term. So if you have a license plate that is within 5 years old, it fails, you should take it in and get it replaced under warranty. If you're not covered, then it's $59, which is a lot more than it used to be. I remember when plates were like $10. Just saying. What do we got here?
And what's
Sean
the
Chen
ticket?
says LOL. What's the ticket? $110.
So would you rather pay $59 or pay $110, guys?
At the end of the day, but it's not okay. I acknowledge that it is better to pay $59 than on $110, but it is not okay for them to have different rules at different locations. It should be covered or not covered, and it should be absolutely clear. I need water.
Should pull it.
What am I going to pull? Should the rules apply to everybody, and should the warranties be clear and understandable? Yeah, that's not a pull that's going to go anywhere, or it should go only one direction. Big Jeff Fresh says, I believe there was a certain point in the B series that became covered. When I did my plate renewal, they took mine and didn't charge. See, there's someone who had a situation that falls into the category of we were told the right information, but it also has the slide of maybe it doesn't. Anyway, BR series are covered. Oh, does it say that on the website? Is that Q says BR series are covered? And
No,
are they
my
covered?
brothers had BR series, and they both were covered.
Okay. Oh, sorry. BR or BR?
B, and then the second letter is R.
So BR series, bruh.
Yes, bruh.
I just got a notification on my screen that questions asked more than 5 minutes ago cannot be answered. Did you know that? Have you ever heard of that? You've
No,
never heard
because
that?
Before, every time I threw something up on screen, you always grabbed it.
Well, it just said that on the screen. I've never seen that before. Questions asked more than 5 minutes ago can't be answered. That's very weird, I think. Ace in the Hole wants to know what happens if you cause an accident with death. It could be careless driving cause death. It could be there's charges specific for that. Obviously, they're more serious. Will the front plate ever get removed? Doesn't look like it. Back when Doug Ford came into power, he had talked about getting rid of them. But then he went to his learned consultants, which are all the chiefs of police in Ontario, who said, what do you think? Or he said, what do you think? And they said, And I believe it was then Chief McGuire who said that they're important. And they're important for public safety. Like, for instance, identifying a Amber Alert vehicle. You want to have twice as many chances to find a child? That's how you do it, by putting twice as many. Wait, can we put 4 plates on a vehicle? Make them really, really big so we can see them from outer space? Whatever it takes to get kids found or find bad guys or bad girls or bad people. Anyway, it's been a blast. It is 7 minutes after 11. We've gone a little overtime, but we like doing this kind of stuff. We missed you all weekend, and it's good to be back. We will be returning tomorrow morning, and that's at 10 o'clock. Yeah, let's call it a thing. And we will be answering more of your questions right here, just like we have been. But you know, if you're really diligent and you want to check out the archives of everything we've ever said, you can go onto YouTube, where they're all available for replay, and they're all organized on playlists. And I say that meaning I have to go make sure the playlists are organized. Additionally, you can be following us on Traffic Services at Twitter, Traffic Services Toronto on Instagram, Traffic Services at Twitch. You can follow us everywhere. It's all good. We will be... What is this? So long from the future and the... take care, Ryan. And what else can we say? Anything else to say? Happy
What are your
Police
socials?
Week. My socials. Ask a Traffic Cop. You can get me everywhere. Twitter, not Facebook. Twitter, Instagram. Did I say Ask a Traffic Cop?
Yes. Voiceover cop.
Voiceover Cop. Wow. Autopilot is running strong today. Ask a Traffic Cop is a great hashtag to subscribe to. But Voiceover Cop on all socials. And we will see you soon.
Good show, sir.
10,
I liked it.
9, 8,
Hopefully I get enough. I get this amount of sleep tomorrow so I can do this all over again.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
That was like the best timing for both music and count.